YouTube, my name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. This morning we're going to just run through changing a universal joint or a small universal cross. Around machinery there's a lot of these. They have them on cars, tractors, trucks, anything that needs to transfer power out of one place into something else that's not quite in line will more than likely have a drive shaft with a universal in it. This is only a little one. It's we go right up to 130 millimeters across and things like that in our game. But this job today, this is a round bore yoke. The fellow wants that taken off and a new clamp style with a key put on. So we got the part for him and we got the universal joint for him, and he said, "Oh, can you fit it for me?" He says, "I hate those bloody things." He says, "Every time I try and fit one, it just goes bad." And I said, "Oh, not too bad. And this is a little lemon shaft." And he said, "Lemon, all right." He said, "Everyone I have is a lemon, so if you can put it together for me, I'd really appreciate it." So I thought about that, and I thought, well, people do have a lot of trouble with them, and they often ask us to put them in. So this morning we'll just run through a quick clip on a few of the do's and don'ts, and it's quite easy once you're shown how. The main thing is, in these universal crosses, in the cup there's a heap of needle bearings, and in the process of fitting the universal joint, people often drop a needle and the needle ends up in the cap here. Then it won't go in and you've got to knock it apart, and the job goes bad. From that moment on, it's a bad job. You've got to get it apart, and then getting it apart from that point without spreading your needle bearings all over the floor, it's a bit of a feat. But anyway, if it's done right, there's a few tips. I'll show you what an old bloke told me one time. I used to have trouble myself with them, and I was working at a place and one of the older fellas come along and he says, "Here, I'll just show you a little secret." So he showed me that, and from that day on they haven't been in trouble. So it's very simple. We'll run through it and just the process, and it might help you out. Well, one of the first things we need to do is pull circlips out. This has external circlips. There is also universal joints where the circlip slides inside here. You have one each side stopping the cup from going out, but this one's external circlip. So as per usual, get the biggest set of pliers that will do the job and fit in the hole, and undo the joint. Now see that there? One side, I'm not sure that you can see that, but anyway, one side of the universal, well, one side of the circlip's coming out and the other side's stuck and it doesn't want to come. So what the temptation there is to get that and go bang and give your circlip pliers a bit of a tap just to loosen it up. Well, you'll end up with a circlip plier with no points on it if you do that too often. So sometimes you just need to grab a little punch or your favourite little screwdriver you like to hit and just loosen it up a little bit. There you go. So we need to do that for all four, so I'll do that and I should come back in a minute. Right, we've taken all the circlips out. The whole four of them are gone. I often spray a bit of WD or anyway your favourite spray around the cups, and if there's any little rubbish there, sometimes it just helps get it out a bit. Now the process here is these two surfaces here, set them on the top of your vise, on the top of your vise jaws. But don't use your good vise for this. All the vices that we use for doing universal joints always get pretty ratty. And then the idea is to hit this here, and by hitting this there, that pressure should bring that cup out. It's supported on the vise nicely, and we'll just give that a bit of a hit. And there's the cup sitting up. So we'll turn it over and do the same thing again. Look at that cup fell out. One gone. It's that easy. Now that's fine to do it like that. Like what we will do now is we'll support, we'll sit the vise under these two here, and then we'll do the same thing, and that will come out. But the problem then is if you just want to change a yoke and you want to use the old universal joint, which, look, universal joints aren't that expensive in what we do. That's probably under $20. So I'd suggest putting a new one in each time. But sometimes you need to save the universal joint. So what you can do then is, with the cups on, put a zippy tie around the cups and support the cups and go like that. And look, it's a bit dubious doing it then, because with the force, with the needle bearings in the cup and the force coming this way, it's not hard to mark that cross up. So, and in reality, I reckon chuck the uni if you can afford to, and put a new one in. You'll get a lot better job out of it. So we'll support that there once more. Tap on the yoke. That's on its way out. We'll turn him over. There's all those little needle bearings. Usually if you pull it right this way, then it will come out. And as that cap hasn't moved yet, well, it's moved, but it's not right out yet. We usually just support the end of the yoke, knock that out, and away you go. So that's one universal joint pulled apart. So what we do now is we take this over to the parts washer and we clean it up. Sometimes when you're knocking this universal joint out, when it comes right down to the side there, right over that way, sometimes there's a little burr here and it will mark up the corner of there a little bit. Be mindful of that, and if there's a mark there, now's the time to clean it. So what the go is from here is we take this away, we take it over to the parts washer, wash it up nice and clean, get any rubbish and that out of here. I think you can see there's paint just there. There's paint from original assembly, top and bottom. I usually take a small piece of emery paper from here and I clean that paint off, because we've got some nice new cups we'd like to slide through there. And by taking a moment just to make sure there's no burrs and make sure that that bore is good, yeah, you just make the job easier. Right, I've been over to the parts washer. I've cleaned the yoke up. I've got a bit of emery tape and just taken the paint out of here. I've looked for burrs on here. So now we can start putting a cross in. Now with a universal cross, what I like to do is pull all the caps off, sit them in a safe place. Usually there's enough grease there to hold the needles in place. So, and this cross goes in there. Now's the time to put a little bit of thought into which way you want that to go. That can sit that way there with the hole for the grease nipple here, or it can sit like that with the grease nipple down this end. In this instance, this shaft, that's a lemon tube shaft. Is that easy to see? On my arm perhaps. On a lemon tube shaft, so there'll be a big long piece of shaft out of here, and there's a groove in here for a safety cover. So I'm presuming that if it goes in this way with the grease nipple on this side, there'll be a cover coming over here, so we won't be able to get to the grease nipple. So if it's hard to get to the grease nipple, guess what? They don't get greased. So on this one, we'll put it this way, because the pump will be on this side here, and with the cup of the yoke or the safety cover coming here, that should give us access to get in and grease it there. So So we'll just set it up there for the moment. And we'll start putting the cups in. Now, this is where people have trouble, dropping needles and things. But there's no need to drop a needle. Take that and put it right through as far as you can go. And you'll see the end of the cross just sticking out the side there. So what you can do then is just line the cup up. And with that cross sitting in the cup, holding the needle bearings in, that can't go anywhere. You're not going to drop a needle, you can't do it. It's already engaged. So what we do is we put it in the vise. I usually use a socket that's a little bit smaller than the cup. We try and keep it as true as we can. I'll do it without the socket first. There we go. Must have it just slightly crooked. And so that's flush with the end now. So what we do from here, still hold this back into the cup. We put a socket there. And we push this cross across. Now, instead of stopping where the circlip would normally be, we go right as far as we can go. So there you go, the cup's almost fallen out the other side. But this piece here is just up against the vise. And that's what that end looks like. See, the cup is way inside. But this end here is nice and flush. So what I do at this stage, we'll just set this in the vise so you can see. As I grab one of the circlips. Now remember, there's a right way and a wrong way to put a circlip in. The rounded smooth edge leaves a curl on the back corner here. So that's no good for holding into a groove. The front edge here, where the circlip's been stamped out, it's flat and it's got a sharp corner here. So the round edge of your circlip goes towards the cup. And the sharp edge goes outside. So that circlip is in there nicely. This can still slide out there a little bit. There's no chance of losing a needle here. And this one slides out far enough that you can engage the cup. So there's still no chance of dropping a needle. We put him in the vise, we screw that back. This one starts to come back further. We grab our socket again. And this time, we take it back until this cup here goes back and touches the circlip. And that's it there. Now what I like to do, before I undo it, is give this a bit of a tap. That just makes sure that the yoke's nice and true. There's plenty of room on that circlip groove now. So once more, put the circlip in with the smooth side towards the cup. Now you'll notice that's a little bit firm because we've pressed it in with the vise. So the thing to do then is go, that settles all the cups in, and beautiful. So that's one half of it done. Right, we've just got the Unicross in here, keeping in mind where your grease nipple is going, because it's still possible to get that grease nipple in the wrong spot. Check this yoke. This is a brand new yoke. Just check it that there's no burrs. It's all good. All the manufacturing's been good. Bit of your favourite juice. And once more we do the same. We put him in like that. We take it over as far as we can so we can engage the cup. And try and keep it all lined up, and that just slides in nicely. Right, that's flush there. That's a little bit firmer than the other one. Now at this stage you can see how this piece here sits right down just as far as the side one, so we know there's no chance of a needle being in there. Well, there we go. Make sure you hold a bit of tension on it. It's just a little bit tight, this new one. That's how it goes. So we take him in right across once more. And what that does for us, that allows us to slide this out a little bit. Make sure this is lined up in the centre of the hole. And we'll put the cup in. It's important to just make sure you get that in the right spot. And that just slid in quite a bit on its own. Put the circlip in, round side to the cup. And now once more we'll use our socket and we'll push the whole thing right back. That's a bit tight there. I'll bring a punch in through here and just give that a little bit of tap, and that'll loosen that up a little bit. Right, I'll bring the punch in through the back. And on the yoke there, we'll just give it a bit of a tap. And that often straightens it up if it's just not quite straight. So now that gets pushed right across to touch the circlip. Got it up quite firm. Coming through once more. Tap on the yoke. And that should give us plenty of room to put the circlip in. So circlip in. The round side of the circlip to the cup once more. pop the circlip in. Now that's nice this way, it's tight that way. So remember, we give them a bit of a tap here. A tap there. A tap there, and look at that. Lovely. So now we have to put the grease nipple in. Try and pick the right thread. Nip that up. Now from this point there's a couple of ways we can go. We can grease that up, and I often do grease them up until I just see a little bit of grease coming out each way. But in this case I know Mick will grease it. I'll tell him to make sure, just so he's got his grease, and there's enough grease in these for assembly. But you do really need to grease, and that's why there's a grease nipple on. Some automotive ones, they've taken the grease nipples away nowadays, and they reckon more damage was done by people over greasing, you know, popping the seals, and then moisture would come in. So anyway, on the tractor ones, they're all greasable. Well, that's just our quick little video on doing the universal joint. Now that one come out fairly easy. It went in this cross fairly easy, this way fairly easy, this way was a bit tight, and they do jam on you a little bit from time to time, but don't force them, just take your time and try and bump it straight. Now, knocking it out like I did, that works a lot of the time. But I have had instances where there's not enough room here to get them out, and mainly on double universal joints on the front drive of tractors, on four-wheel drives. And I mean, I found it was just so much easier in those cases, get the oxy and just blow it out. Just blow across the crosses and pull it apart, then you can knock the caps out. Some people say, oh, a bit rough doing that, you know, you should get it out the other way. But when you're working on something at $80 an hour and you're trying to offer value for money for the work that you're doing, sometimes grabbing the oxy and a quick squirt through there with the oxy and knock it out, well, you'll save yourself and the customer a heap of time. I've spent, on some of them, I've spent probably an hour just trying to get them apart, and then had to resort to the oxy anyway, or I've even fitted the 1mm cut-off discs down the side there to get them out. But the main secret to doing a universal joint is bring the cross across so that the cross is sticking out. It will stick out enough for you to put the cap on. That way, as you go back in, the needles are captive. They can't go anywhere. And so once you get one in, push it right the way through as far as it will go, so that the inside of the cross is level with this outside here. Then move it across and put the other cap on and bring it right back again. That way you can't drop a needle. If you try and bring a cross in, or bring a cup in this way and bring a cup in that way and bump this one in a bit, the actual bumping action often drops the needles for you. And getting them both lined up exactly, because as the cup goes in, they go up a bit and down a bit, you know, they don't always go true. And so I found over the years, that was a secret the old fella told me, is bring this cup in, don't just stop at the circlip, go right in and then pop the other one off. And since I've been doing that, I've never had any worries really. And I try and teach all the apprentices that, and once they sort of learn that, the light comes on and they're happy to do universals joints. But before that, you say, yeah, chuck a uni in that, and they don't look real keen, some of them. But anyway, hope that helps you. Yeah, if you've got a couple of drive shafts around or on your car or whatever, don't be shy. Have a bit of a go of it. Same as with everything, keep it all clean. And anyway, have a go. Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's all I can show you on this one for the moment. So, thanks for watching. Subscribe, and I'll catch you later, eh?